question would be, tell me your impressions of the ease or the difficulty you experienced during this sponsored silence event when you were trying to communicate with the kids.
It was, at first, you know, they were, some kids it was like part of a game, so they were trying to challenge you just to see if you would, you know, break your promise and talk, especially the you know, some of the kids. And then it got to be, I just couldn't say as much as I wanted to say. I was just so limited by the box, and it maybe didn't fit any other circumstances in which you wanted to communicate. And I felt myself, boy, I wish I had either signing or something. But then I thought, yeah, but somebody's got to be able to receive the sign. So even if you could give it, you know, it's a two-way process, so to speak. So it was, I wouldn't say I was frustrated, but you just couldn't get where you wanted to go. I think that was the hard part.
Exactly. Now, did you feel that knowing that you had at least a communication device going into this, did you feel that the communication would be easier? Were you worried about the communication when having that device?
It was like having a security blanket, actually. It was almost cheating, it felt like. So, and we had even programmed it, you know, I would have been, we knew that we were going to be in this one environment, of a four-square environment, so we took, you know, about the 15 phrases that we would probably normally use. And when I first went out, the twins actually wanted to play baseball, and they've never wanted to play baseball. So, you know, I picked up on that opportunity right away, and yet I was thinking, boy, if I'm going to have to quit this game because I was saying, you know, you're out, or strike one, or, you know, I had this verbal communication, and I knew that when it came my 12:45 that I would have to exit that experience because I didn't have any language that I could use in it to be able to do it, and I'd have to go to a place where at least I had the cheating device there, where I had at least 15 responses that we could start off with. And interestingly enough, there happened to be a kid in line there, and she knew, she remembered or whatever, and she said, let me try to teach you some signs. And so she was like cramming me with signs. I'm like, you know, I'm on overload already. You know, I can get through I, and that's about it. And that's what it is.
Exactly. Well, it's interesting because I think that a lot of times the kids in their classroom would feel the same way you did, that if they don't have the vocabulary they need, they're not going to be able to participate.
It's just
a shutdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you really had a great experience as they go through. Were you surprised by the level of frustration, or did you expect this is going to be a very difficult test?
I knew that it was going to be hard from the get-go for me, because when we set this up last week, we talked to the kids about it, or maybe it was the staff, I think. I said to them, staff or kids, I don't remember which, but I said, we were setting this up, and I said they were looking for somebody that couldn't keep their mouth shut for 15 minutes, and they found me, you know? And so I already knew that it was going to be hard, but I actually didn't think it would be as hard as it was. I didn't realize how much, because I don't necessarily, in all honesty, consider myself a very verbose person. So I do a lot of other things other than just talking to people, but I actually just didn't realize the depth of how much talking that you really do when you can't do it. And I was saying this morning, it was a really hard morning. I've been up to my ears in alligators from about 7:20 this morning, and at one point this morning I said, I went out in the office and I was like pulling what little hair I have left out. I said, I think I'm gonna have a stroke by like 11 o'clock today, you know? And they all kind of looked at me like, oh my gosh, I think he might. And then I was thinking, oh my, you know, what if that would have happened? That would have been, you know, like being stroked out here, and what it would really be like.
So if you could
Let's hope that's not a prophecy, okay?
No, of course
right,
it's not. If you could have done something differently in preparation for the communication event, what would that have been?
I would have, well, the first thing I think about is I would have armed myself maybe with some other even written communication or something to be able to be received by somebody else. I think I would have, gone with a notepad and a pencil so that I could write some things down. Because I could see yourself getting in desperate situations where you had to, I need something from you and I couldn't tell it to you. Even if I knew sign, you would not know. And it is interesting, I did think about this too, that how many times, whether it be Foursquare or gesturing, what other tools and forms of communication you fall back on when there was drawing. You're out of here, or back up, or whatever the case might be.
Would you say that prior to this experience that you had, that you really ever gave much consideration to how dramatic limited communication would be?
Absolutely not. I never thought about it at all until
Okay.
you lose it. I guess that's, you don't know what you got till you lose it.
Exactly. Would you say overall that your involvement in this event, the Sponsored Silence event, was a positive one? And if so, what way?
Well, I think there were two things that come to mind real easy. First of all was how difficult it was not being able to communicate. But the other thing I thought, and I didn't get it till we came back into my special classroom there, did you see how they took to it? I mean, because they have, Fafa's got a board and so they knew, right? I mean, they got the jokes even off of it. They did meet the kids out in line. When I'd say you're dead meat, they go, what? But those guys, or did you eat dead meat for lunch? Kyle, he thought that was really funny. So, you're being silly. And then the other guys out there, they didn't get the humor at all. But there was something because they were familiar with, that's how some of their friends communicate, that they seemed to relate to that. I thought that was interesting. But no, it really hits you between the eyes of, oh my gosh, what would you do if you lost that power?
Okay, and the final question is, how did you feel about having all those people pay money to have you be silent for 15 minutes?
$180.
Yeah, I heard that it was
$180.
$180. I was kind of humbled because we really didn't beat the bushes really hard with them, and
Right.
and we're also running another fundraiser where we're asking kids, and we're actually getting ready to kick off another fundraiser in a couple weeks to save the sea turtle. So. I was kind of amazed. That's what I said. I can't believe there's that many people with quarters that would, want to support that. I thought that was pretty interesting.
So you're not taking that personally?
No, I wouldn't take it personally.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that was great. I really appreciate your involvement in this. This has been great. I thought it was great for the kids.
I hope that experience helps.
Well, it's a great
You and your
experience,
work.
and knowing that he's going to be retiring, you can remember this experience.
Absolutely.
That's a first in 35 years, I'll tell you that.
Excellent. That's good to hear.